I'm at a point in life where I feel like I've already made it, and now it's a question of how anyone other than me and my friends would know it even exists. I'm caught between wanting others to know about it and wanting to lead a modest and happy life, so I often find myself burying it with junk that even I don't like. I figure while everyone's stuck sifting through all this garbage, they'll just reason that it's all garbage, and then they'll go away. I can't bring myself to erase it from existence, but I can definitely bring myself to making it as though it never existed in the first place. Every now and again I'll stumble on a new it, and it scares me. I don't want my contemporaries to know who I am, but I also want to have made as many perfect things as possible. Sometimes I'll ask myself whether or not it's really that bad, this being known stuff. Sometimes I'll try really hard to be known, and every time I have to try harder and harder because of the work I've done to bury myself in the time in between. I wasn't made to be my own manager and publisher. The manager within me wants to do the worst job imaginable on purpose until they feel bad and tepidly try to pick up the pieces. I have dreams of not having to confront this side of myself, stumbling onto a large sum of money and being able to quit my job to make things with all my time for the rest of my life. Making so many things I consider perfect and burying them in garbage. Making it as hard as possible to appreciate me while I'm still alive. Being an invisible middle child. Quite a lot of people have not having made their masterpiece yet as their primary will to live. I might be different. I'd like to consider someone wading through the garbage and stumbling upon the things that I'm genuinely proud of, but that's ridiculously unlikely. All my work needs is the right context, and then it flourishes, I'll tell myself. Someone, somehow, learning my language from Rosetta Stones I've interspersed within the garbage, parsing how to read me, what's worth reading, and presenting me with a translation to the best of their ability. That's probably a pretty common feeling among people. Common enough that most of the time it never happens. I get hostile towards my audience. I try to scare them away so I feel some semblance of control over the situation. Why do I waste the time and energy of these hypothetical people who are projected to love me? I'll ask myself. Is it good in the first place for someone as hostile as I am to be remembered? I'll ask after that. Then I go and make some garbage so that I get forgotten entirely. Often enough in the process, I've found that I've made it again. I want to burn it to smithereens if I could, but I can't. I rigorously document it, leave others a pathway to find it, and then I litter the entire pathway with garbage and misdirection. It's one of the very few things that make sense to me. Mr. Hyde performs a perfectly dark act, and then Dr. Jekyll buries it in gestures he thinks are kind. It's a vicious, vicious cycle. I just want to be happy. I want to make good stuff to make good stuff. I want to see how others react when they see good stuff I've made. It's like putting a prompt into a machine and being excited to see what it puts out. I don't want to have to live off of that machine. I want to keep pressing its buttons to see what happens in good fun, not out of duty or obligation. I'd much prefer to stumble on a large sum of money that's completely divorced from art, so I'm not stuck making art that's advertisement to my audience first and meaningful second. Again, that might just be a cope. If I find success, it might turn out to be not bad. Or at least not that bad. I might make even more great things than if I never find success, but I'm scared to be wrong. All this career sabotaging is akin to a sacrificial rite I'm performing for a higher power. There's divine consequences here. I've come to see this process, or what compels me to make good things as autotelically as possible, as something born of religion. I've been subjecting myself to starvation, poverty, and all manner of things as a sacrificial right to a higher power, showing this higher power respect from abstaining from anything that would make my output, or even myself, impure. That isn't to say I abstain from sex and drugs. I do a fair share of both, but I've been abstaining from indulging in a projected career of doing what I love. I deliberately make it very hard for myself to dream a genuine possibility of having success, recognition, fame, or riches from having made anything I've ever made my entire life. I bury it all in garbage, just mountains upon mountains of garbage. I scream until they all leave. You can see a very visceral example of my philosophy in this video. The more I add, the more I talk about, the less people will be interested in what I have to say. The more I add, the more crazy I seem. the higher in entropy this entire ideal will be. I bury the genuine and quality output within this with genuine garbage. Words for the sake of words. I write and write all of this not for having a wider plan, but for the sake of having 7 paragraphs, because that's a lucky number to me. That aspect of all of this is entirely meaningless. This is all just a vessel for meditating on why I'm so scared of finding success. All the ways I've deliberately made my success unlikely, and how I still find myself trying to succeed sometimes in spite of all the damage I've caused. I love art like a god. Screw it, I'm just gonna read this as a video script.